guys, welcome back to Haywire Homestead. We are in the kitchen today and we are going to work on my homemade barbecue sauce that I make. I also can it and process it, so I'm going to show you how I do that, starting with the tomatoes. Okay, so I have a fruit and vegetable strainer here. This one is Susina Pro. I believe I bought it off of Amazon. Squeezo makes one. You can pick them up on eBay, Amazon. I'll put a link for this one that I'm using in the description below. And these are Roma, and we also have some San Marzano tomatoes that we grew in our garden. This is the last of what we were able to get out of it and salvage before we had temperatures drop down into these low 60s at night and low 70s during the day, and we got a lot of rain, so it just completely totaled our plants. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to go ahead and run these through, and they pull out a lot of the pulp as well as the juice. And you can see how nice and thick that is. If I was using a different type of tomato, it would probably be more watery. These ones are designed for making, well, they're more of a paste tomato, so they make a really nice paste. Now, once I get this done, I'm gonna put this on the stove. I'm gonna cook it on medium-high heat, bring it up into a simmer, and then I'll reduce the heat down to medium, and I'll just let it sit there. If it's splattering too much, I'll turn it down a little more. But I'll just let it simmer, and I'm gonna reduce it until it looks more like what you would get at the store for tomato sauce. So it's a lot thicker, because homemade is not as thick as what you get in there, but I need it to be a little bit thicker to have a little more body in the barbecue sauce. So I'll show you what that looks like here in a few hours, because it does take some time. You can see how much it's already reduced. It's been about 2.5 hours since I started simmering the sauce, and it's probably gone down about an inch or so. It's getting there. It's still not as thick as I would like it to be, but it's definitely getting there. So I'm going to go ahead and wait a little bit more, and then we'll start adding the ingredients. So I'm gonna leave a link in the description below for you guys, so that way you'll know what the base recipe is. So we're gonna start off with vinegar to our tomatoes, and it's apple cider vinegar. We're gonna add apple cider vinegar first. Then we're adding balsamic vinegar, and they use equal amounts. So should have took this little slow pour thing out of here before I did this, since I need such a large amount. Do 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 do. All right. Balsamic vinegar.
2 years
now
later,
we're
she's
going
finally done.
to add. All right. So I have somebody talking behind the camera. We're going to add some raw local honey. And I don't always measure everything. We're also adding some molasses. Going to add brown sugar.
And this is what Mom gives her dad for his birthday.
Yeah, my dad got this barbecue sauce as a birthday gift. He loves it. We're going to add some kosher salt.
Mom, what did Stacey say to not do? Use white salt.
This recipe calls for kosher salt. I'm not fermenting. I'm going to put some cumin. And it's organic cumin. Garlic powder. Onion powder. powder is getting a little clumpy, but it should dissolve okay in here. All right, and then the last thing, oh, I forgot to get is the Worcestershire sauce.
Mom, how dare you?
So we need Worcestershire sauce. No.
Guesstimates.
A couple glugs of that.
They're guesstimates.
And then they're guesstimates, yes.
That's what Stacy does. Guesstimates.
Yep. So now I'm just going to stir it up, and then I'm going to let it simmer a little bit longer. Let all the flavors meld together, and then I will put it in pint jars, and I water bath it. Now, since this is not a tried and true Ball recipe, what I did was I went and I looked at the recipe that Ball has for their barbecue sauce. And there's several similar ingredients. They do put some peppers and things in theirs, but what I did was I go ahead and I go by the guidelines that they use for their barbecue sauce. And I use that in order to process mine. I process it. Now I'm done with those. Thank you. I have a helper cleaning up. How about that? So I process these in the water bath canner, pint jars for 20 minutes, and I never do quarts. Sometimes I do half pints, and I do those for 15 minutes. They make good gifts. So that is the... We are finally into the canning stage of getting our barbecue sauce ready to go into the cupboard. So what I have over here is my water bath canner. And you fill it up with water about halfway. Once the jars are all seated down in the water needs to cover them by usually about an inch. So it's already heating up, and I sat my jars inside of it while the water's heating so that way my jars get hot. So it's just kind of a multi-purpose way to do things. So use my funnel, and then I'm going to go ahead and start canning these up. And you'll see how nice and it's not runny. So we're going to fill this up to leave about a ½ inch head space, and then we'll put the lids on it, put it in the canner for 20 minutes, and then we'll turn the heat off, remove the lid, let them sit for a few minutes, and then we'll take them out, let them sit for about 24 hours before we put them away in the pantry. Hope y'all enjoyed the video.